Our 60 seconds are up, and actually, here we are, face to face with an album titled Stringsville. Johnny Smith, you've taken us through the world of atonal and the blues, aided by the Modern Jazz Quartet and the Symphony Orchestra. Let's look into the studios. You've been associated at NBC with an exciting talent by the name of Harry Lookofsky, who is a graduate of everything from the NBC Symphony under Arturo Toscanini to the St. Louis Symphony, as well as the world of multiple taping techniques and everything that the strings have to offer. We've talked about symphony orchestras and jazz groups teamed together. Harry Lookofsky stands for something that is most unusual. As a skill, as an artist, he's versatility itself, isn't he?
He's one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life, and as you mentioned, we were on staff together at NBC in New York for many years. And I never knew that Harry was even remotely interested in jazz, because this man is such an accomplished, legitimate violinist. On all of the record dates that he was on, he was always the concertmaster of the orchestra. And it would be hard to conceive that a man in such capacity would be even remotely interested in jazz. And I didn't know it until years later, when he first put out a couple of records that he did employing multiple techniques. Most people get a little distaste when you mention the word multiple recording. It's been abused, but I think that when you hear Harry and what we have to say about him, that you'll understand why he did it in a multiple way.
First of all, let's point out, what are the instruments that he plays?
Well, he sticks to violins predominantly. You would expect him for the lower voice to use either a viola or a cello. However, as it mentions on the album, he acquired this, what is known and very little heard about, bass violin. Well, the bass violin is different than the viola. The viola is tuned to a fifth. Excuse me. It's tuned to fourth. No, let me think. Got to figure this one out. It's tuned a fifth lower than the violin. Mm-hmm. In other words, the low violin string is G. Well, the viola goes down to C, below the G. A bass violin, and why he used this instrument, goes even lower than the viola. It is tuned a complete octave below the violin, which puts it higher than the cello, but lower than the viola. And
which makes for voicing,
yes, it does.
Most beautiful.
Yes, it does. And his reason for doing it is quite clear on this thing, and it certainly answers the picture musically.
What should the listeners look for in this demonstration of what Harry does with, well, something like "Give Me the Simple Life," a song written by Ruby Bloom, and a classic or an evergreen in the catalog of standards? Well, he introduces jazz elements. In any way related to classical areas at all?
Well, I think that the thing primarily to listen for is the thing that we were talking about, the Gunther Schuller composition, was the fact that this man wrote for a symphony orchestra and certainly did not impose on people to attempt things that were out of their immediate realm of music, such as trying to swing on a violin in a symphony orchestra. It would be very out of taste to write that way. As I said, it was tried before, but it always ended up as the thing being completely out of taste and out of scope for the musicians. The thing that we have here, and the reason that I would like to ask people to ignore the fact of multiple recording on this man's work, is the fact that he plays all these voices to form an ensemble, such as a full string section in an orchestra. And to do that, only he could do it, because this man is one of the finest jazz players I've ever heard in my life, bar none. And to fill up a full string section with people with equal feeling and expression would be impossible in my explanation, especially now.
Therefore, the use of the multiple taping technique.
The use of the multiple was completely necessary to make this the fine recording that it is.
So that he could voice and phrase, I suppose.
That's right, and play the parts.
play each
with
part.
the jazz feeling, and it's like the Count Basie band or any other fine jazz organization. There can't be anybody that's not making it, so to speak. Everybody has to be making it. So in this case, he had to do the making. He had to do the playing.
Tonight, a stimulating visit in the world of music. Johnny Smith, well-known guitarist with a great history as a performer not only in the concert circuit of jazz, but in nightclubs, but also, too, in studios, ranging from the production of music for television shows to radio, and also a world set aside for the description of products and commercial life on a television commercial. Johnny, guitars and strings have been a part of your life, and in recording studios recently you had a chance to explore the world of strings, and you too have been highly concerned with the classical flavor that your instrument can produce. You've been interested in strings, and I've been listening to an album entitled Johnny Smith Guitars and Strings. It has given you, it's probably opened the door to arranging and composing that you've wanted to experiment with.
Well, I naturally, like most musicians, have always had aspirations to do an album with strings, because you get a room full of fine string players, and it would be hard to find anything in beauty that would be comparable to this aggregation of violin players.
Incidentally, we've just finished playing Give Me the Simple Life, featuring Harry Lookofsky playing all of the parts as a jazz player in the string section. In this group that you have, each violinist is individual. He's his own master of his instrument. He's not multiplied. He's Gene Orloff and a lot of other people like Al Brown, I suppose, and you can go on and name them.
Well, of course,
Did you attempt to do anything such as Lookofsky did with Give Me the Simple Life?
Oh, absolutely not. Oh, no, that would be as I say, and as we've been talking about, would be the first mistake, and would be a terrible thing, because these men have spent their whole lives acquiring a technique for playing legitimate music, and we only have one life to give. As I say, there's always exceptions to the rule, such as Harry Lookofsky, who is definitely an exception. This album that I had such enjoyment doing with the strings employs violins played in more or less of a conventional way, with no prime effort toward the word jazz in any way.
I enjoyed particularly Yesterday's in this album, and this is your arrangement. Is this a classical flavor, a representative idea?
Well,
in that sense?
It is in some respects. Leigh, the song itself offers a bit of a problem on trying to come up with an arrangement on it, because actually it is only a 16-bar tune. The 16 bars are repeated, so that to play this same 16 bars over and over again, as you can imagine, becomes very repetitious. So the only thing I did here was sort of make what we call a little production number out of it. The thing starts off with a theme, sort of an Aeolian type theme, with the cello playing the melody and the guitar playing a very simple accompaniment. And then the orchestra, or I guess I have the melody with the orchestra background on the song itself. Yesterday's, after this theme, the theme is kept as a secondary. The opening theme is then used as a secondary theme against the song Yesterday's. After we play the song itself, then we develop the first theme again into a fugue and an allegro section in the center of this tune, and we build from this back to the song itself in sort of a dramatic type ending, still employing this opening theme throughout the whole thing.
Sounds to me as if you had a lot of fun. Did you perspire at all in creating this?
Well, it's no stupendous piece of work. It is a little thought, and as I say, nothing on here is intended to be anything spectacular. The most thing is the the bringing forward the beauty of a bunch of violin players.
Against the strings of the guitar, featuring Johnny Smith and Harry Galbraith, more formally known.
That's
Barry.
Barry. Yeah, they made a
and
mistake on that, and I forgot. I'll have to apologize to Barry Galbraith when I get back to New York. Barry is playing rhythm guitar on this album, and
with Don Lamond in charge of percussion, along with Saul Gubin.
right, and George DeVivier on bass.
A night in what we call preview composers, arrangers, and improvisers' workshops. In the world of jazz, of course, the improviser is sometimes right on the stand, and so is the composer at the same time, legitimately or illegitimately taking a theme and recreating it on the spot. But then, of course, there is the man who, with method, sits down and scores it. In our Composers and Arrangers workshop tonight, helping us with previews of everything from Gunther Schuller's Concertino to the modern sketches in jazz of one of America's fine bassists and arrangers, George Romanis, who's been associated with Johnny Smith. Since we have Johnny Smith at hand, we've been talking about the symphony orchestra, the strings. Let's talk about brass and woodwinds for a moment. And our listeners sitting in might be excited to hear something by Stan Kenton, or perhaps driven to shut off the radio at the same time. Brass and woodwind has a function in jazz, but I thought the woodwinds belonged to, well, the world of chamber music and the big orchestra. Is this true or not?
Well, the full line of woodwinds most certainly do not occupy the usual jazz bands, such as bassoons and contrabassoons, oboes, and English horns. However, the word woodwind does also take in clarinets and flutes, which are usually found with a large number of our large orchestras. Basie sticks mostly to saxophones. However, he does use clarinets quite often.